Now, there are probably 20 billion animals in the world. Yet there are two types that I think separates them well. Those with backbones and those that don't. Vertebrates are mostly what you think of when you imagine an animal. They have a backbone and skin, sometimes scales. Most have limbs and fur, while some are just tubes. Vertebrates are boring. Yeah, they have a skeleton, but so do we. I'm tired of seeing creatures that share the same evolutionary path as people. That is why the second group of animals are just way more interesting to see. Invertebrates are your bugs, crustaceans, cephalopods, and cnidarians. Some don't have a skeletal system, but they do have an exoskeleton in place of a skin. This hardened casing is what keeps their insides from spilling out, and in some cases, even acts as a deadly defense mechanism against their predators. Not all invertebrates have an exoskeleton though. Things like jellyfish lack anything at all. They're just mostly water. So basically God's first attempt at creating life. So technically this video title should be Invertebrates are basically aliens. But that wouldn't get clicks now, would it? Bugs are cool. No other animal really shares the same weird biology as bugs. They don't have 4 legs, they don't have any vocal cords to talk. They barely resemble anything animalistic in the traditional sense. I guess that's why people find dogs cute but a velvet worm creepy. Cause we can't really relate to anything so naturally different from us. Same here too, I used to really like studying insects and watching those monster bug wars videos on YouTube. Although actually coming close and interact with a bug, I faint or run away. Although over the years, I've come to appreciate these little weirdos more. In fact, most people do. Some bugs naturally become more normal to us and maybe even relatable like ants or grasshoppers. But I want to talk about bugs that are just so bizarre that I think the government can legally classify them as extraterrestrial life forms. Oh, by the way, I'll be using the term bug very loosely. Not all insects are true bugs. That will be your assassin and sting bugs. True bugs have no mandibles but a needle-like mouthpart to suck on food. So I'll be using the term bug to describe insects, arthropods, arachnids, worms, and whatever I want. Spiny African crickets. These things may look like a level 10 enemy you'll encounter in an MMORPG, and just because they are, as the name implies, these crickets come from south of Africa, which is the second hotspot for the weirdest wildlife right next to Australia. Spiny African cricket's exoskeleton doesn't know subtlety when it comes to defense. One look at it and you know not to touch it. But what if you're brave or stupid enough to provoke it? They spit vomit at you. This gives off a putrid smell which deters predators, and if that wasn't enough, these armored crickets can even squirt toxic blood from its exoskeleton. So yeah, literally from an RPG. And if you think these crickets are peaceful, happily chirping in the fields, you'll be almost correct. These crickets are omnivores with opportunistic appetites. Their powerful hind legs allow them to pounce on their prey, where the spikes kinda ensnares them, sealing their fate. These crickets are also cannibals, because why not? Let's add on to the list on why this species belongs on nature's watch list. FBI, open up! And I'm not talking about them eating like an already dead body of another spiny cricket. No, they actively seek out to hunt each other when low on protein. Remember about the blood projectile ability they have? Well, it has an area effect on it since the smell of the blood attracts the attention of other spiny African crickets, making you seem like an already injured spiny cricket in the process. Kind of an extra middle finger to you when you're already drenched in puke. Speaking of projecting one's insides to make your day worse, Ribbonworms. I hate worms. There's just something so off about them. They have no visible features at all. Like, at least jellyfish have tentacles. Ribbonworms may look innocent at first glance, but make no mistake, they have a surprise hidden up their bodies. I'm sure some of you have seen this video on your recommended tab at some point. It's bizarre to put it lightly, but let's break it down. That white web of slime that spilled out, that's the ribbonworm's proboscis. It uses it for trapping its prey in a slimy web. It's even packed with toxins to paralyze the prey. Is it dangerous to larger animals like humans? No, but if you're smaller than a sardine, you're cooked. Some proboscis are like what you saw in the video, branched out to increase surface area. However, some proboscis may simply just be a straight limbed line with some microspikes to get a hold of their prey. Now, I'm not sure how big that bacon looking worm was in the video, but thankfully most ribbonworms are only a few centimeters in length. But what about it breaking up in the video? Is it making more of itself like a flatworm? While it was initially thought to be part of the flatworm family, it isn't. Cause since it is out of its element, in this case the ocean, it's breaking apart due to stress. These living gummy candies are delicate and prone to breaking apart if they are in a new environment. It's honestly weird how a creature with this many characteristics is related to an earthworm of all things, but hey, maybe God decided to update his worm mechanics. I've had enough of bugs spitting at me, so let's talk about a chill one, Harvestmen. Despite looking like one, Harvestmen aren't true spiders when you take a closer look. They have the legs for sure, but they don't have an abdomen. Their bodies are fused, which give them this bean-shaped look. They also don't produce silk or any venom, so they are harmless. Just creepy to look at. All those hairs, those are Harvestmen. Safety in numbers cause who would wanna eat that? Just like ribbonworms, Harvestmen can break away their long spindly legs to evade death, except they can't regenerate. They do produce a smelly substance when it happens though. It's not shit, but it might as well be as it stings and it clings to your skin. The cool thing I like about Harvestmen is that they are omnivores, which you wouldn't expect from an arachnid, but they eat fruits and other plant matter. They're even seen as good luck in certain cultures, bringing about good bountiful harvests. Not bad rejected Metroid enemy, not bad at all. Giant stick bugs. You know, stick bugs are quite an anomaly when it comes to bugs we see as common. Yeah, sure, stick bugs may seem like an ordinary bug we see on a pathway like a millipede, but when you think about it, when was the last time you saw a stick bug? Like, I've seen more lizards and bats in my neighborhood than actual stick bugs. Maybe because they are so good at camouflage we barely notice them. That's what makes them one of the more unique animals compared to something like a zebra. Those stripes aren't fooling anyone. But stick bugs take their camouflage game to the next level. Instead of having colours to blend in with their surroundings, stick bugs literally have the colour, body and mannerisms of a broken off twig. They move so slow to act like wind affecting a twig to fool predators. It's pretty amazing how long they'll keep up with the act for like several hours. That's just an ordinary stick bug. In Australia, there's a behemoth version of it, because why not? The giant prickly stick bug. This beast can grow up to 13 cm and they apparently make good pets. Have fun trying to interact and spot them in an enclosure though. Don't be too rough on them however. When threatened, these bugs will go into a defensive pose and their pricks on their bodies and legs can pierce through skin. It's not venomous, so it shouldn't result in anything major. You know, maybe being a stick isn't all that bad. You get ignored by predators and you even lead a peaceful life. The same can't be said about the next bug, doorhead ants. Most of us are familiar with ants. They are a nuisance that just won't stop coming no matter how many times we try. However, most ants we consider pests are usually the following culprits: feral ants, fire ants, black ants, and ghost ants. Even then, those are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the species of ants. They are one of my favorite creatures because it's literally like watching those real-time strategy games but in nature. A lot of ant species adapt this method of polymorphism where different workers of a colony develop specialized body shapes to perform different tasks. Like how fire ants have those big head soldiers to carry large staff. Well, what happens if nature decided that your fate is to be a door? Well, that is what this species of ant answered. Turtle ants are these flat-bodied ants that are just like regular ants. The only significant difference is their way of defending their homes. When under attack, specialized turtle ant soldiers block the nest entrance, which are small holes in wood, to prevent intruders from entering. Sounds simple, right? Yeah, it is. Because these ants have no other means of defense like stinging. These head of defense are quite possibly the only chance they have at survival. And all they have to do is simply stand near an entrance and block it with their heads. Honestly, this begs the question on how effective this method is, cause couldn't the intruder simply just push the door and... Maybe if you're talking about a bird, but for a bug, I guess a door is enough to protect your colony. Centipede. What if God allowed Satan to make an animal? You get this thing. Now, my first ever memory of centipedes was reading an article with my siblings about a centipede bursting out of a snake. To this day, that picture haunts me. I always thought bugs were at the bottom of the food chain, but centipedes simply refuse to be at such a tier. The centipede I want to focus on will be the desert centipede. This bug may be the creepiest one on this list. The way it moves with its 20 pairs of legs and how fast it scuttles along, it's no wonder this is one of the top predators, at least for small animals in the desert. This centipede feasts on a variety of critters including spiders, small rodents and lizards. Yeah, remember how I said this thing refuses to be at the bottom of the food chain? The desert centipede, if looks weren't bad enough, has a pair of fangs that injects the paralyzing venom to its prey. And like a snake, they wrap around their prey to make sure they ain't going anywhere as if the venom wasn't enough. If anything Brave Wilderness has taught me, it's that being stung by one of these gets you millions of views. Maybe I should sting myself with a centipede. 20k likes and I'll do it. Despite this, most centipedes are amazing parents. They care for their young by balling them up and hugging them for protection. You can't say that about butterflies, or people, silverfish. Now, the only reason I know of their existence is because of Minecraft, and Minecraft kinda got these bugs right. Silverfish live in a variety of environments which includes caves, but they don't make their homes in rocks though. Instead, they make their homes in dark, humid places like Leaf Litter, where they are practically surrounded by food. When I got older and read about them in a book, I was surprised to see them as pests that feed on paper and clothes. Still somehow less annoying than the ones in Minecraft that are out for blood. This makes them a huge nuisance for libraries, but these days books have like plastic pages. Silverfish are ancient. They are a living relic of the past, which explains why they don't really look a whole lot like other insects, more so resembling a weird cross between a beetle and an isopod. Or at least they look like insects if we were in the Silurian period. Although if we were, the 3 tails on the back end would be legs. Yeah, those eventually form into tails which act as extra feelers for the 360 experience. Silverfish predates a lot of animals which includes dinosaurs and winged insects. So clearly, we are dealing with a peak animal design here. However, I'll be more impressed if they didn't behave and serve the same purpose as cockroaches. Both eat trash and are fast. However, there is one cockroach that takes a back seat to life. Australian burrowing cockroach. Honestly, one of the chillest bugs right next to the stick insect. Unlike the little devils that make a mess in your kitchen and fly when they decide you're no longer in charge, these large bugs don't possess the ability to fly because they spend most of their lives underground. Instead, they have these meaty, chunky legs to push through the earth in a similar fashion to an antlion larvae. If you look closely, it actually kinda looks like a paw. Convergent evolution, fellas. The other cool thing about them is that they survive on a diet of dried eucalyptic leaves, which are poisonous to most other animals apart from koalas. So these things are armored moles that eat poison on a daily basis. Yeah, definitely an alien. That's why I'm thankful this bug is only in Australia. I mean, it looks cool, but let's be real, all of us would run away if we encounter one in our home. Sure, they fill an important ecological niche, but yeah, I have nothing against them, they just look scarier. It seems that Australia is like the #1 spot for all sorts of weird animals. My theory is that an asteroid struck there 50 years ago and every wildlife went through rapid evolution, Little Company style. If only the asteroid struck the place that desperately needs a world update. Antarctic niche. Antarctica is a pretty barren place. As of right now, there's been research and trials to bring back the woolly mammals to restore the ecological system in Antarctica. So only thing we have so far from the research is woolly mice, which are adorable. Release those into the Arctic instead. Now, I'm not sure if bringing back the mammals will restore Antarctica to its former habitat, considering there's nothing there, except for one bug. That bug being the tiny Antarctic midge. Antarctic midge locked in during evolution. I mean, name me one other animal that coasted on by simply removing all the moisture from their cells to prevent freezing. They do exactly that while munching on absolute minuscule scraps of algae that grows on the ice. Because life is really boring on a block of ice, there's nothing much you can really do except find a mate and entrust the same experience onto your children. And they can't even fly. I guess anything for bragging rights to be the only animal on Antarctica. So these are the few bugs that I thought stood out among other animals. Of course, I've only scratched the surface on these creatures, and there are tons of other invertebrates that are even more bizarre looking. Maybe next time I'll make a list with vertebrates like snakes and birds, and maybe even some humans as well. You know, there will be a day when people in power screw up the nuclear launch codes, and these bugs may be the only things that remain on Earth. And I'm all here for it.